Alright, Internet, I'm going to try to explain Bitcoin to you. What is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is a decentralized, peer-to-peer cryptocurrency. So there you go, you got it. Going through those words, decentralized just means that there is no central authority. There's no central computer server that runs everything. It is basically like a program that you install on your computer, and then you are part of the network. A whole bunch of other people have that installed on their computer, and that makes up the network. It's not like Google where, you type in a search into Google, that information goes to Google's server, and then they send you back the results or whatever. That's not the way it works with Bitcoin. It doesn't go to a central place. It just goes out to other people that have the software and just spreads throughout the whole network. So that if you do a Bitcoin transaction, that just goes through the entire network. And so it's decentralized. There's no central authority. There's no one that can just shut it down because there is nothing to shut down. They'd have to confiscate every single computer of everyone using Bitcoin, which is not possible. So it's a decentralized peer-to-peer cryptocurrency. An actual Bitcoin, when you say the word Bitcoin, can mean two things. You can be talking about the currency Bitcoin or essentially the protocol or the system, like the invention Bitcoin. They unfortunately have the same name, even though they're two different things. I've heard it described as Bitcoin is the first app on the Bitcoin network, which is confusing, but basically saying that Bitcoin is just the first implementation of the underlying technology, which does have other uses, which will be developed. So when you have a Bitcoin, what is it that you have? Because you don't have a physical object, you don't have a physical dollar, you don't have a piece of gold or an iPhone or something. I mean, all you possess with a Bitcoin is information. And that information is money. One of the key aspects of Bitcoin, the key aspect is the blockchain. Now, it sounds ridiculous, blockchain. What the blockchain is basically is it's a ledger of every transaction that has ever occurred in the Bitcoin network. So, if you make a transaction, you're sending information. That's what a Bitcoin is. It's just a string of, basically a code of information. But what you're really doing is you're writing on the ledger. Now, everyone that has the Bitcoin wallet downloaded onto their computer has a copy of the ledger or of the history of all the transactions that have ever occurred in the Bitcoin network. It's gigantic. It's like 10 gigs of, now it's 10 gigs of just text. I mean, imagine how big a 10 gigabyte text file would be. It's gigantic. But that being said, you can see every single transaction that has ever occurred in the Bitcoin network on the blockchain. That's really the beauty of it, is it is public. It's a public ledger. So when you say you have a Bitcoin wallet and you can spend Bitcoins, what you really have is you have the private key, the cryptographic password, so to speak, to make an entry on that ledger to say, I'm sending such and such amount of coins to so-and-so. I'm sending 3 Bitcoins to Jason. You can do that because you have a wallet with a key, and that wallet basically says how many Bitcoins you have. And if you don't have enough Bitcoins, then you can't make that entry on the ledger. And if you do, then you can. So why do we need Bitcoin? Well, for one, Bitcoin makes sending money over the internet or sending money across the world as easy as sending an email, basically. You're sending information. So you no longer have to rely on that institution or that company or that organization to facilitate that transfer. With money, I mean, you can send money across the world, but you basically have to deal with several banks. You have to deal with international laws, regulations. You have to deal with fees. I mean, I think on average, international remittances, or sending money from one country to the next, about 10% of the money sent gets eaten up in fees. Whereas you can send, there was a transaction of, I think it was $150 million worth of Bitcoins that happened instantly over the Bitcoin network, and the fee that they paid was 10 cents to send $150 million. So with the Bitcoin network, you can send $150 million for 10 cents, as opposed to 10% of $150 million, which is $15 million. It's just the first true international currency. There's no state behind Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a system. It's like an idea almost. It's a network that you agree to be a part of, and by joining it, you have to follow the rules, and the rules cannot just be changed by someone. Is Bitcoin anonymous? No, it is pseudonymous, meaning any Bitcoin transaction, on the list of the ledger on the blockchain, with all the history of the previous transactions, is public. So anyone can look at it and see that such and so, well, not a person, but can see that this number, this Bitcoin wallet, sent this amount of Bitcoins to this Bitcoin wallet. That's all public. The problem is you are going to have a very hard time linking Bitcoin wallets to actual names of human beings or to people. It's very difficult. Now, it can be done a lot of times. Apparently, if you know what you're doing to a certain degree, you can set it up so that it can really never come back to you. But, it's like anything else. You can't be 100% sure. So no, it's not truly anonymous, but it is also not very obvious who is who. And it's without the right computing power. I mean, like the NSA could probably figure out who you are on the Bitcoin network, I think. But they would have to dedicate a fair amount of resources and time and energy, and they're certainly not going to figure out who everyone is. So it's not completely anonymous.